2.5 million children across the country lack a father figure, and while that can be negative for all members of the family, some argue it's especially impactful for the development of young boys. One school in Basingstoke is trying to help their male students through a support network of local men. Well, our home editor Jason Farrell has been to that school and joins us now live. Jason, great to have you with us and good morning to you. Talk to us about this programme and what it hopes to do for the young men at the school.
Well, I got in touch with the headmaster there after watching Adolescence, and also having seen Gareth Southgate's Dimbleby lecture, which both touch on the same subject, which is the problem that young men are facing today. And Gareth Southgate in particular draws on a report by the Centre for Social Justice, which basically is a compendium of really shocking statistics, actually, about how far boys are falling behind in education, in health, in crime as well. Just all the statistics showing essentially that on every metric they're falling behind girls. And he said, look, we see this in our school. Actually, he didn't like Adolescence. He thought that it portrayed the schools in a very negative way. And you know, he said, come and have a look at what's going on in my school. And actually, we are trying to deal with this. And they got together and they had a meeting with police officers, with youth workers, and they discussed, you know, how are we going to make this work? What are we going to do? And the idea was to form a network of men from the community who would act as mentors within the school.
Well, Jason, let's have a little look at your film. You can watch the full film by scanning that QR code. Let's have a look at a clip. We'll speak to Jason off the back.
Hands up if you're aware of a programme called Adolescence.
We've heard the warnings that teenage boys are in crisis.
Young men are suffering. They're feeling isolated, they're grappling with their masculinity and with their broader place in society.
What can we do as a society to stop young boys being dragged into this whirlpool of hatred and misogyny?
Boys are struggling, lagging behind girls at school in every metric, from primary to GCSE and beyond. There's concern about their online consumption.
Real strength isn't in that toxic content online. It's about how kind we are.
Absent fatherhood is also on the rise. Teenage life is harder to navigate. And two boys here at Brighton Hill Community School in Basingstoke have agreed to share their experiences. 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Raphael.
Your model, how are you going to change it? How are you going to make it better?
Raphael's father left home when he was 2, more recently starting a new family abroad. Raphael doesn't feel wronged by that, but he has struggled with it.
It's knowing that your own father's not there growing up, or you know, you start to question yourself. Am I enough? Am I the problem? It's simple things like when I was learning to do a tie, I was using YouTube when that's one of the moments you want to be able to go to a dad.
I'm pleased to say Jason is still with us. We've also been joined by the Research Director at the Centre for Social Justice, Edward Davies. Edward, morning to you. Thank you very much for coming. And I know you will have seen Jason's film. Just talk to us about the importance at this moment that young men get a good role models as they're growing up.
Yeah, it's really important. So this is part of our Lost Boys research that we've been doing, and we've just found that the big question to come out of it is who is fathering our sons. That quite literally sometimes a lot of boys are growing up without a dad at home, but you can go to primary school and be very unlikely to see any men there. There's a lot fewer sports coaches than there have been, things like that. And so there's often this vacuum for young men now of role models and examples of what it is to be a man in society.
Interesting.
Yeah, your report really showed that actually the absent fatherhood has reduced. Just talk us through some of the statistics you came out with around the father-at-home figure disappearing from people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, over a period of sort of 50 years, we've seen fewer and fewer households where both parents are present, and there can be all sorts of reasons for that, but the reduction is just reality. So there are about 2.5 million children now in the UK who don't have a present father figure at home. There are probably, by the time you reach GCSE age, it's about 50-50 whether you live with both your parents now, which has been a huge shift over just my lifetime, really.
And is it just having the father figure at home, or is it, you know, with family dynamics different now? Yeah. A father might live outside of the home, but you still have connections with him. Does the person need to be in the home for the benefit to be there, or what do you?
So it's really, having a father has a definite effect on the lives of not just boys, girls as well.
Absolutely.
Like, having a present father is really important. But yes, if there isn't a father there, then the question is, OK, what can we do to mitigate that? Are there extended family, neighbours, Is there someone at school? Examples of this project, the Goat Boys project, are just superb. They are brilliant, because I think that the default for a lot of us in Westminster, you know, we're yards from Parliament here, to say, what can the government do? Where can we spend money? But this is quite a relational problem, and it will be solved by men stepping up to raise the next generation of men.
Why do you think there's this focus now in 2026? As Jason and I were saying, like, we've kind of known absentee fathers are an issue for society, not just for the families, but for society more broadly. What do you think the acute focus is on it now?
Yeah, I think we're sort of reaching critical mass. So I talked about how this change has happened over 50 years. When I was born in the 70s, in the mid-70s, you had about a 90% chance of living with your mum and dad when you sat your O-levels. So the fact that's now come down to nearly 50-50, I think it's so common now, you can't miss it, you can't avoid it. And so you're starting to feel it come through in the system as well. So when you talk to schools and teachers, they say, we're feeling this, we're seeing it, we can see it in our day-to-day lives, and we need to tackle it.
One of the big striking features of your report is about young men are more likely to have a mobile phone, a smartphone than a father at home. I think you actually said in an interview, they're twice as likely to have a smartphone. You know, and they are turning to the phone, you know, for guidance sometimes. We've heard about these figures such as Andrew Tate taking over. But I'm interested, do you think there is, because we talked about misogyny being a factor and a problem, although the head teacher I spoke to said, well, actually our generation weren't much better as young men, and are we a bit hard on boys around misogyny? What do you think, what's your report kind of come out about young men's relationships and attitudes towards women now?
So it's the internet really has changed things, and they are growing up in a life where everything is online all the time. Their lives are posted, their pictures are posted. I think what we kept coming back to was that real life relationships are really, really important, and they mitigate against this stuff. If what you are seeing every day is a respectful relationship between your mum and dad, you will probably have more respectful relationships. If it is transactional and disposable, then you will see these relationships as transactional and disposable. So a lot of it will come back offline into the real world, to how you see relationships played out in front of you. I do think we've had some fascinating conversations as part of this. And I was talking to another headmaster from a different school who said, I think there is, and I do agree with this, I think there is a sort of male humour that is a bit more banterish, that is a bit, has been used to cover up ills in the past. But we've been so quick to get rid of that, you know, teenage boys, when you hear them talk to each other, they can be savage, but they're also hilarious. Like, they're great fun. And I think we've possibly tried to kick that out of them in a way that's not very helpful.
Well, kick that out of them. I mean, there was a squeamishness around sort of this focus for a little period of time, perhaps to kind of focus in on men. We live in a patriarchal society. You know, men kind of look after themselves. Was there, you know, an opportunity missed to intervene with young boys a little earlier?
So it's interesting, I mean, you talk about a patriarchal society. The part of why we're picking this up now is increasingly for the generation coming through, it really isn't. That they do worse at every phase of school. They're more likely to be unemployed. They're more likely to earn less. And yet they are being told it's a patriarchal society. And they are looking at that and going, doesn't feel like a patriarchal society. And it may be for my generation, you know, I'm in my late 40s now, it probably was like that. But it really isn't for boys coming through. And so I think we have to be careful how we talk to them. And one of the things I think we can learn from women that they've done brilliantly is just to champion boys. Like, women have been really good at championing girls over the last 40 years in a really wonderful way. And maybe we can do a bit more of that. And actually this GOAT project aims to do exactly that. Like, even the name, Greatest of All the Boys. Brilliant. What a great name. Let's champion boys.
I suppose when they look to, you know, businesses, you know, a lack of women as sort of CEOs, and the Labour Party is pretty well balanced, but they haven't had a female leader yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that the patriarchy has kind of been diminished. I don't think women would say the same thing.
Yeah, as I say, I think in my generation, less so, but I think in the generation coming through, and I think that's where a lot of the mismatch is happening, that they're being told the world is like X.
Like
and
it was for us.
Exactly. And then they're seing the world as Y. And it's like, well, hang on, this doesn't match up. And so you're getting boys who, I mean, at its sort of least bad, it's just cynicism. But at its worst, it's rebellion. It's pushing back. It's saying, I'm being sold a lie and I don't like it.
Yeah, which is why they might then go towards those misogynist views like Andrew Tate. Edward, thank you so much for that. Really good to talk with you. Sorry to rush it through, but we'll have you on again, I'm sure. And Jason, thank you for the reporting. And